Wow, I can't believe I'm making my third editorial in a row talking about butts. We're gonna have to start calling the show A.B.I.torials. Well, if the general public is gonna make a big deal out of it, then I'm gonna make a big deal out of it. I might be a little late on this topic since I had my hands tied getting a certain nice boat off the docks, so I'm a little behind. That was not intentional. Not many of you know, but I am actually a huge fan of Blizzard's upcoming shooter game, Overwatch, ever since it was revealed. Now, I know other people have talked about this at length, but being as big a fan as I am, I can't help but be disappointed to see my most anticipated game being dragged through sensationalist controversy hell. So, let's get a brief review of the butt that's thrown the internet into turmoil. Yep. That's it. Scandalous. Now, this pose has been a part of the game for as long as customizable victory poses have been implemented, but Blizzard only recently received a wordy complaint about it on their forums, and immediately decided to remove it from the game. Now, I'm not saying it's wrong to have removed the content. Blizzard as a developer has the right to remove content as they see fit, just as people have the right to be butthurt about it. Really? Really now? Well, if this is just going to keep happening, then I'm going to give you guys a counter. Have fun with that. This whole thing sounds similar to when Lab Zero Games decided to redraw over a few panty shots from Skullgirls, and people got upset. And that game is still chock full of panty shots, so I don't really see what people were mad about. Now, unlike the Skullgirls incident, which took place some years after the game's initial release, the decision to remove Tracer's butt pose came almost immediately after the forum post started gaining speed. Blizzard denies that the decision was made due to pressure or bullying, but I know a knee-jerk response when I see one. Games that get called out for sexism quickly turn into social media circus shows, and that is not good for publicity, even if it sometimes the infamy helps a game sell. So I can see why Blizz was quick to put out the fire before anyone's buns got toasted. But from a creative standpoint, knee-jerk responses are not especially healthy for development. When you take feedback, you need time and research to discern which feedback actually impacts your game, how a particular element will be treated over long periods of time, and who it is actually impacting. Tekken 7 was faced with a torrent of outcries from the community when they revealed a new fighter, Lucky Chloe, the enemy of moephobes everywhere. Producer Katsuhiro Harada even joked about it on his Twitter, threatening to remove Chloe for North American release, but that was just him being cheeky. A knee-jerk reaction here would have deprived the world of one more twin-tailed breakdancing cat idol. And really, I think the world could always use more of those.
The world could always use more heroes.
But again, I'm not here to point fingers. I understand the need to be critical of developers, and it is within our right as consumers to call out devs when they do something we don't like. And I don't think that being mad about sexuality in media is inherently wrong either. But I do think that we need to figure out what we're actually getting mad about. This pose? This pose is harmless. It's only barely edging into the realm of sexual. I see people bringing up objectifying this and sex symbol that, and the entire circus of high-handed sex shaming being brought upon in regards to this pose. I remind you, this is an optional pose that is awarded as an optional unlock. You don't have to use it if you don't want to. You don't even have to buy it. It's such an insignificant part of the game that it's absurd that anyone would even have a stick so far up there. Yeah, you get it. As I said before in my Fire Emblem video, people will feel triggered if even the slightest hint of sexuality is present, and this kinda proves it. I think people are misdirecting their anger. Sexuality in itself is not bad. Exploitation of sexuality is bad. And when I say exploitation, I mean when a character has nothing but sexuality in place of real character substance, or worse, when a character's sexuality is expressed only through vulnerability and weakness. Consider a character like Quiet from Metal Gear Solid 5. It's not that sexy snipers don't belong in Metal Gear. I mean, she isn't the first. But Quiet's problem is that her sexuality isn't linked toward any sort of substantial character trait, but instead by a thinly written plot that doesn't cover her very well. Okay, that wasn't a butt joke, but I'm giving myself one for that. Also consider games like God of War or Ride to Hell Retribution, where women and sex literally only exist as a resource to be exploited. Or those bullshit shovelware online games that have nothing of substance to offer you except banners full of bikini ladies. Or any female protagonist in a David Cage game who are subject to at least 2 or more rape scenarios. So let's back it up and see what this all means for Tracer. Considering that enough people protested for it, what exactly about this pose is considered exploitative? Is it that you can see her butt? because you can see Tracer's butt in any other area of gameplay, not just this pose, so it's a little silly to say that Tracer isn't allowed to turn around for a pose. Is it because it undermines her character? Because if that's true, then Soldier 76's optional Ron Burgundy costume is also out of character and destroys the fantasy of being a grizzled war veteran. Then is it because it's a cheap cash grab to play on the old adage of sex sells? Because last time I checked, this was the cover of the game. In fact, none of the publishing about Overwatch that features Tracer has any explicit butt poses, so I think it's pretty safe to say that Blizzard isn't exploiting Tracer's butt to sell the game. This is a butt that's trying hard to sell. This is not. Saying that this kind of thing is inappropriate or wrong just feels like it sends the wrong message. I already said in my Fire Emblem video that there's no point in trying to hide the fact that girls have butts. If we're trying to say that butts are shameful and that even a fully clothed butt is to be condemned, then we may as well be living in the Renaissance where women would be slut-shamed for showing an ankle in public, or we might want to start banning the sales of women's yoga pants. I love Overwatch because the cast features unique and characterized female heroes, and I would rather have a silly butt pose than to regress to the time when women couldn't be in shooter games at all. That about rounds out today's A.B.I.torial. It was certainly a mouthful. If you have any thoughts about butts, whether you're pro or anti-butt, or if you're just tired of hearing about this, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for non-butt related videos and consider backing our Patreon to support our channel. We really appreciate it. I'm A.B.I., and I'm gonna need this drink after all that ranting. Bottoms up.